Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of my interview series. I am here with Virtus Pro sHockWave, and I've talked to a lot of people who are on brand new teams, but actually just stayed with Virtus Pro the entire time, sHockWave. So did your a lot of people at the end of this off season? Everyone was out of contract, big roster mania, everyone doing all of this. How quickly were you kind of tied back into Virtus Pro when it came to the off season after Stockholm?
Uh, I mean, I think they liked me a lot. Maybe both in game and outside the game, maybe. So I kind of got like the job to rebuild with Smash. So that's kind of where I've been doing the whole off season. So yeah, it was like pretty fast, and you know, I heard about their plans and stuff, and then I kind of knew that it, there was like no way I was gonna get like a better offer, a better team situation. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward.
Then because also there was a bit of back and forth about the partner situation at EMEA as well. Initially, and this must have been, I imagine, when you were first talking to Virtus Pro, the plan was that they weren't going to get partner right. It was going to go to Heretics at the time. So were they still willing to invest and put together a team, even if there was no partner offer coming their way?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously like, I think everyone applied, like so many orgs applied and stuff, so it's a bit unknown. But yeah, they were like interested, like either way, which is also I think why I like them even more because I think some teams it was I wouldn't necessarily say it was like fake, but it's like they don't really care too much about Overwatch. There's just like this one thing that's like incentive for them, and it's like randomly, oh, let's get a team. So this feels like way more organic. So yeah.
So then, at a certain point, then you're putting the roster together and all of this. Obviously, the final version of your roster, there's probably a few surprises in there, maybe a few players people didn't expect. How close to this final roster is maybe what it started out as, or the sort of players you and Smash sort of had your sights on, or like where do we go from you and Smash to get in this final lineup?
So I think very like it's a pretty no-brainer that Galaa is like pretty high value, because we got hero bands coming up. So I think that guy was like we wanted to like lock that guy down pretty fast. But obviously you gotta have 3 EU players, right? So and then like we like they wanted to do they were down to do imports, so then me and Smash we had to obviously like ask a lot around. I think importing a Korean tank is probably the highest value role. So there were like a couple we were trying to get, but I think there's like still a couple good EU tanks been up now with like Vestola, which I think is like insane. So I think you're not necessarily like you're not like done for if you don't get a Korean tank import. But I just think like they're just so flexible. So they're very high value. So that's like kind of what we were trying to get at the start, and then like EU Flex TPS. Like I mean, I had like a little dream, maybe of like playing like old NYXL, like an NYXL
Get
reunion
the
with
band back
Galaa and
together.
Stego, you
Yeah.
know. But I mean, it didn't fall through. So yeah, so it kind of just goes like very early on, like me and Smash, we're just like messaging around, like a lot of people, like seeing what's up, and then we like end up with the JaeWoo, which I think is like classic like young prodigy, and then FiXa as well is like really solid support, and like the thing with Galaa as well is like getting him early, just like you can kind of slot him in like to kind
You
of
can fill
both
both
roles.
roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like early on we were maybe like leaning a bit more maybe towards like a flex support, cause maybe then you can have like slight upper hand sometimes, I guess, with bans.
Kind of what you did
Uh,
last year, where you had like situations you could get Galaa on Ilari and stuff.
yeah, but I mean it's like with a Korean, like their mechanics and stuff, and then they also have break unlocked. I don't think there's like too much that isn't covered. Um, so if you get like a more EU player, it's more like, like maybe like Lucio, Juno, and then like a mediocre break or something like that. I don't know how well covered you are in hero bands. Maybe you'll be fine. Either way, we'll see how the meta evolves. Obviously, right? Um, but yeah, that's kind of how we went about it. Trying to like think like flexibility and like hero bands into it. I think was like very key building a team.
And then, because with JaeWoo and FiXa, they both come from Poker Face. How did they come onto your radar? Were they players you were aware of, or was it more obviously you had Smash looking with you as well, who probably has like a pretty good insight into the Korean scene
Yeah,
of the players?
No, it was definitely mainly Smash with like Koreans, and obviously like talking to them, and seeing what's up because he can get a good feel as well, how interested they are, and because it also involves like moving, because I think a lot of Korean players they really love like they are proud patriots, like
Yeah.
they love their country so fucking much, so they wanna play in Korea like for almost no money versus like having to move. So it's also like finding the right people that like genuinely want to move and be in like mixed team and all these things. So yeah, that's mainly like him for the Koreans. That's him that's been cooking.
And then, obviously, as well, you sort of alluded to it there. The question whenever you import Koreans is, are they going to be stuck playing on 1 million ping, completely different time zone from the teams? But they're coming over to play from EMEA as well. Is it just a facility you're getting for them, or are you trying to get everyone out there?
No, we're all going there. I think all EU players like we obviously could play from home for some time, but I mean I love traveling and you know team house and like I mean it's like Overwatch League, like basically, and I would never like want to be at home. So yeah, we'll all like right now we estimate to arrive on the 20th, and we're planning to go to Belgrade in Serbia, which is like there's a lot of esports team and like esports like stuff located there. So we will be there for stage one, and then for future like it might be like a more permanent spot. But obviously because the off season was like so insanely short, that we haven't really like gotten like a permanent place yet. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the plans, and I mean I'm really excited about that. I don't know. I mean to me it's like just I mean obviously everyone is different, right? But I think it's so boring playing from home, like just playing online. Like it just feels like open division or something, Like it's just contenders. Like I miss the feel of like team house, and stuff. So yeah, I think that's a huge bonus.
Yeah, it's like you said. It sounds like you've kind of got about as close to an Overwatch League experience as you can get in current year Overwatch. And then you factor in as well, one thing that's always difficult with mixed teams is bridging that cultural barrier. But it's way easier to do that in-house, in person, together.
Yes,
So it'll be like, especially when you've got maybe like, especially for JaeWoo or something, who's maybe not been on a mixed team before. I imagine it'll be like a massive help for him as well and everything in terms of like blending in with the team and stuff.
yeah, agree, 100%.
And then is Smash going to come out with you as well? Are you going to have the whole thing there? So then Smash can also sort of be like a liaison between the Koreans and the rest.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there is one thing when I look at your roster, I do feel like it's maybe potentially a quiet roster in terms of Vestola and Galaa. Maybe not always people we'd associate as like in-game leaders or big talkers. Maybe yourself, more of a talker. But then you factor in maybe FiXa and JaeWoo. I don't know what their English level is like. But is there a worry here? Like on paper, at least, it seems like quite a quiet team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fix is actually one of the more like his English for sure is like completely fine. I think obviously JaeWoo is like pretty young as well, and he hasn't been exposed to too much of the Western world yet. But I mean, we've like chilled a bit sometimes in Discord and stuff, and it's for sure like fine. So, but I mean, I think I don't know. I think with Vez, I feel like I don't think we've ever been on a team together. I don't think, but like I mean, many trials, and scrims and ringing and stuff together. So, and he seems like completely uh fine to me. Maybe not like a screamer, like one of the American tanks. But
Yeah.
like he's not a yapper like that. But no, it's fine. I think it's like I like it when it's like well-rounded. But for Galaa, I mean, it's like the main thing, you know. Like I've talked with Galaa like the past half year, and you know, I think when we've been without coach, like it's mainly been me like giving feedback and doing like the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I mean, I always tell the guy like sort out like you know the comms, and he can be like the best support player in EU, 100%. And with time, I think also compete with Koreans. But yeah, comms are important, you know, and it's part of being pro player as well. So I know I've talked with him, and you know I think he also respects me for it, you know, like telling him straight up. But I know I've seen him like try, even like streaming, you know, like try hard today, full talk, and I just hear him in the
Yeah.
game on Lucio. He's just like shouting, you know. So, but yeah, I mean that is why he's also gotten good, you know. He cares a lot about improving, so I think it will be no issue.
I think you quite often see it with the sort of the players who have that sort of breakout. Quite often when players have their breakout into the sort of, well, now into OWCS, it's often because they're just really gifted mechanically and have the ability. And then there's often that gap then to then bridge between you've got the talent, you've got the skill, but here's how it works. In like, this is what would happen in like an Overwatch League team or in a top OWCS team. This is like everyone's talking, everyone's contributing, everyone's listening type thing. And it's like a different skill to learn almost on top.
It's the same exact story with me, you know. It's just stupid rank player, you know, and like does stupid shit, and then you like get good coaches, or you get you know good teammates that teach you, you know, macro stuff and communication, all these things, you know, and it becomes a lot easier. So
I want to ask about your coaching as well, because obviously you're sticking with Smash. You had, I think, for most of last year, if not all of last year, once you got sort of under the VP banner. But
yeah. Yeah, it was like for EVC, and then like I think stage 3 was without, and then he was back stage 4, if I remember correctly, something like that maybe. So,
but obviously happy to work with Smash. He's obviously got a reputation from Overwatch League as well. But one thing that's happened in EMEA this season is not only have a lot of team imported Korean players, everyone seems to have got a Korean coach over as well. We see Krusty and Junkbuck also joining the region as well, which means out of maybe nowhere, EMEA has gone from a region where it was Chris trying to outcoach a coachless Ents to now it's Chris, Krusty, Junkbuck, Smash. It's like an incredibly stacked coaching roster. How do you feel Smash sort of ranks up in terms of what he provides for team?
Well, you actually forgot to mention us because we also beat SSG when we were coachless, and I remember he was very mad about that as well. Good old Chris. But I think what Smash adds is that he just has like you know previously. I mean, just being on that O2 roster, you know, like anyone that's been involved in that like 2021, 2020, whatever, you know, all of those guys they understand the game like next level, you know. Like it doesn't matter if it's like 10 years from now, like just fundamentals, you know, from it like just way too much like success and you know the giga brain on that like era and team. So like he adds, I think, more like I think why I like Smash is because he's like a good in between. Like he understands Western culture because I think that's the problem with some Korean coaches, you know. Like some Korean coaches, they come to EU and then they're like, "Oh, Anna Sen is good here, you know. Let's just play Anna Sen Monkey, Tracer Sombra, you know." And then it's like, yeah, but like press tab, you know. Like look who's in the lobby. Like look at this team, you know. It's not like in Korea you just have the world best player in every role, you know. Like that's the standard they're used to, you know. Oh yeah, this hit scan, he can just go Genji and Tracer, and you know, it's like.
Put Stalker on Widow for a map and it'll be fine. Yeah.
It's like you have to understand the win conditions in the West. Like us this year, like we don't have a main tank, so like let's say Monkey is like slightly favored, but you can still win with Diva, you know? Like I mean that's like kind of what we did last year as well, you know? Yeah, you have to like find your win condition and just trying to make it work. Like that is just EU's just handicapped, you know? Like in terms of like flexibility sometimes. So I think he's good at understanding that. But then also like he has the knowledge, I think, that he can like actually like get, especially like Western players, like to the more next level of like understanding, like let's say Korean levels of Overwatch. So
I wanted to ask you, because one thing that I think is almost certainly going to be true this year is with a year of hero bans, flexibility is going to be at a premium, essentially. That's why someone like Galaa is probably one of the players people were so popular in the off-season in terms of different teams wanting him, because he can do a bit of everything. How do you feel about the hero bans coming in full-time now? And maybe in particular as well, because there's a slight change to the rules, that you do the hero bans after you submit roster.
yeah.
So how do you feel about hero bans in general, and then the change from what we did at EWC last year?
I mean, the situation is a little bit funny in EU because now that Kev went one way, Seiko went one way, and then we kind of repeat. Like I kind of see it as like three top dogs. That there's no clear super team, and we're all handicapped. That means that all the DPS lines is hits kind of flex DPS, right? So like I don't know, and then like I don't know, it's like a bit weird because I think on paper, theoretically TU should be best covered, with Chase KSA, and then double flex as well, and main support. So like I'm trying to think a bit, like what would you ban against those guys? But yeah, it's a bit hard. Whereas like TM, like main support, flex support, like main tank, maybe there are some things to ban there. So yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like EU, for the most part, I think it's like almost every team is in the same boat,
There's like one role they have to worry about, essentially, of like, we either need to protect
like,
this role all the time, or we're going to get targeted, or it's just going to
Yeah.
happen on like one of the maps and you have to deal with it.
because I don't know, it's like, maybe against Instant you like ban hit scan and then I don't know, if I feel comfortable I pull out like Venture Echo or something. If that's annoying, and then hope I can be like better flex DPS than Kai, for example, like that could be an angle, or like
Yeah.
just if Vest is better at a certain off tank, then like there's some plays to be made. But it is like, I don't know, like in terms of DPS, it's just kind of me, Kai, Quartz, and then like JaeWoo, Kev, Sego, like it's just.
Well, TM have Yubi as well, right? So they're probably like the team that
Yeah.
can deal with
Okay,
it the
that's
most,
true.
The
the Joker pick, they might come out. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a bit hard to say now. We'll see once we get going. But yeah, I think it's interesting because to me, there doesn't seem like the impossible to ban against. Like to me, it seems like there's something you can do.
There's always a target, right?
Yeah.
Because
I'm just thinking like TM and TU. I think obviously Genji. I don't know. It's like 5-man roster. Maybe some things to do there as well. But yeah.
Because I want to ask you as well, because you talk about the other teams having a potential weakness. Maybe for you guys in particular, because obviously, you've played flex DPS heroes and everything before as well. So you'll probably like complement quite nicely in terms of a hero ban meta. Maybe someone like Vestola maybe sort of stands out as the person that maybe he can be targeted the most, because if you can put him into a situation where it's, say, like, it's just a Winston map and there's no diva available or something, there's like clear exploitations there. So how worried are you about the other side of things when teams try and target you?
Yeah, I mean, it depends a bit. Like obviously, if like traditional main tanks like Ryan and Winston, like that's like an obvious one. But I feel like the past time, like especially last season as well, is like a prime example, where like Blizzard just loves these like ground tanks, so they're just like catering to off tanks almost, and like Hazard as well is like a prime example, and I don't know, like I'm not too sure what patch, but like I mean Hazard right now is still just like broken,
Hero,
So you ban him maybe one map and it's like okay, but then you just go diva if it's just like a dive map or something. Like okay, and then what else? And then like support, yeah, you do break Juno, you do Lushikiri, you do Anakiri. It's like you
can force teams to pivot, but you can't break for comp. It felt like maybe an esports World Cup, because there was like in the esports World Cup, Juno didn't exist yet, and Hazard didn't exist. So suddenly, if you're banning Winston, maybe really big problem. If you're banning Lucio, really big problem. But now there's these
Yeah.
extra couple of
Yeah,
heroes, I
but
think
Hazard
really
just
open
does
it
too
up.
much, you know. Hazard does too
Yeah.
much, and there are too many like support combos that's like a bit better. And there's like the only role that's like a real question I would say, because like you just one trick Genji as well, and then it all comes down to the hit scan, you know. It's like what the fuck do you play? Because that's the thing. Like in EU, like maybe we will just try to make Sojourn work. But if some teams it clicks for them and they play like Tracer Genji, which arguably some maps is better. Because sometimes like hitscan is just unplayable sometimes for some places. But like you know, like who's gonna flex? Like can I go Tracer and be good enough to, you know, like can X player, you know, like it's so yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's to me that's like the interesting one, honestly. Like
We kind of saw a bit of it in the Soup Cup when it was like Hazard, Genji, Sojourn meta, and then some teams would ban Sojourn because if the hit scan wants to just go Ash or Cass, well then you just die all of a sudden to the Genji
yeah,
Hazard. So then
yeah,
you have situations where you get players like MN3 and he's locking Tracer in it.
yeah.
And I have to feel if you're on the other side of that, it's like we've got MN3 on Tracer, we're all right with this, you know?
Yeah, but that's like the interesting thing because we're like free hit scans, you know? Like arguably we're not all like we aren't like the best Tracer players. So, you know, I don't know like what it will look like. Or maybe someone will like play Venture or someone will make up some like crazy counter comp. I don't know. It'll be kinda interesting. But yeah, to me like the rest is like kinda default as long as Hazard is OP, right?
Yeah.
I mean he can just do too much, you know? So like
That's the interesting thing with these bans as well. And there's all sort of the different theories on what you can ban and what you can target. But it also depends massively on the meta. Because certain metas, it doesn't matter all of a sudden, you know? Or if like
yeah.
it might not be a problem that you have like some limitations in some role or something else, you know? Like
Yeah.
if suddenly Sojourn's fine, Ash is fine, and Cass are all playable, well you can't ban hit scan then, can you? Because they'll just play one of the other three. So it will be like something that changes quite a lot during the year.
Yeah. I mean that's just yeah. It is just a problem with hit scan. It's like I don't know. You can't like poke. You can't poke him out. You know, you die too fast. The only reason you're playing Sojin is just because of a shift. You know,
Yeah.
like I mean, if Sojin had like a Hanzo jump or like a soldier sprint,
Yeah.
you just don't play Sojin ever. Like, it's just that simple. It's just only like movement and survivability. So yeah, and I don't know. It's like a bit annoying because unlike the theoretical dive maps, he can just wall climb, you know, like just as an extra thing,
Yeah.
like for fun. Like they just added that, you know. Oh fuck it, like, and he can jump like a like
Every
half a
4
monkey jump,
seconds.
you know,
Yeah.
like and it's like crazy damage, and it boops just for fun, you know,
And
and
you
then
can
he
get
can
walled
actually like
off. Yeah.
May wall that also boops and does damage. So like I don't know, it's just everything. So yeah, it, like which I think is the fact like because high grounds is like the reason why you would play, you know, maybe slower comps or something, right?
Mm.
But it just doesn't matter now because the tank can reach, you know, like Mauga Ram, like you know, you can't, but this guy can. So yeah,
Because
it is what it is.
I wanted to ask as well, because they've changed the qualification system this time. So now rather than circuit points, it's just the top two, at least for this first stage, will go directly to the LAN in China. So it's just a straight playoff, double limb bracket at the end of the regular season. But what this also means is because it's just one tournament, basically, what we experienced last year was patch changes that just happen when they happen, and you have to deal with it. But instead of last year, where you get 2 stages at least, so you'd have to get, in theory, unlucky on both patches, now it could just be a patch before playoffs or something that can have a huge swing in qualification. How do you feel about, I guess, that potential problem coming up?
I mean, first of all, I like the non-circuit points. You know, it's more traditional. Like you qualify this stage, you're through. You know, so like yeah,
Simple
you
and
don't.
clean.
Yeah, I think that's it's also easy to follow. You know,
Hmm.
like for everyone watching and so. But the patches, I don't know. I feel like I personally like it's. I don't mind like hard one-trick medicine something. For like maybe one stage. You know, like I think we have like good examples with like the playoff like Overwatch League. You know, like Monkey Soch, like Reaper, Lushikiri. That was
Yeah.
like fun. And then like it's not anymore. And then like Jungle Queen, like you know Genji. Like okay, you have that for like a bit, but not too long. You know, because like now Hazard is like you've seen it a bit in like the like Koreans, you know, and like tournaments, you know, and it's like okay, but then we're gonna keep playing it, like since release, and like for this stage, it's like maybe a bit long. So personally, I think just like huge, like revolutionizing, crazy changes, it's fine for like one stage, but yeah, I don't know, like multiple. That's a bit boring to me. But I don't know. I think it's fun. Like even if it's like kind of close to playoffs or whatever. Um, yeah, I'm honestly like down for that.
It kind of, in the same way, like the introduction of hero bans really pushes teams who have flexibility and creativity, the ability to adapt. It's the same thing with patches. The teams that adapt the quickest will, in theory, be rewarded a bit more in this system, but that's also not necessarily a bad thing to reward teams for being good at this,
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it should be like a bit of both, right? But I mean, I think with hero bans, it is hard to have like a hard one-trick meta, Like there are ways to go around it because you have different maps and then, you can do this and that. So yeah, I think with bans it's okay.
And then I wanted to get your take as well, because I'm not quite sure what to make of it myself yet, but they've also changed the map pool, so it's smaller, but they've also grouped up the maps. So you now
Yeah.
get Hybrid and Flashpoint are now in one group, so there's only sort of 4 modes, essentially, or 4 groups of modes, which means map 5 becomes super powerful, essentially, if you get to pick the map, because you can pick from anything again. How do you feel about these changes?
I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I don't know about the maps. Like, I'm not like too bothered. Like, I think with hero bands, like, I'm not too bothered like patches and maps because then you have like you have way more essentially strategy to do. Like plays to, like stuff you can do, right? Um. So but I think I'm just like yeah, I don't really mind too much those things. I think it's nice though with like the changes with the roster, like before the bans, right? Uh, so it's like you you really have to like think
There's
more
like
before
a...
then. It's like it's just like okay, you ban. Oh yeah, but then we just don't play our main tank. If you ban, like it's a bit like what's the point then? Like
When there's also
so
an element here as well of like you have to almost predict. You have to predict the bans for which roster you put in.
yeah.
Because if you're like, oh, we don't think they're going to do this, maybe less of a problem for you guys, of course, with like a 5-person roster. But for some of the teams, they're going to have to sort of... We have to submit the roster before they pick the bans. So we have to guess what we think we're going to ban, and then what roster will still be okay to play a comp if they ban this.
Yeah.
And there's all sort of ways to maybe like
Yeah.
double guess and mind game it
There's
sort of
many
one way or the
variables.
other. Yeah.
I mean, I honestly prefer a 5-man roster. I think. I mean, you know, like the perfect world, like everyone on the team can play everything. But I don't know. I just think I like swapping and stuff. Like I don't know. It just throws you off sometimes. So if you can make it work, 5-man rosters, I think the way to go. But obviously, it's not a perfect world, and sometimes there might be some metas or picks where it makes sense. Like we've seen that in Korea as well. Like they sometimes make some swaps and like it works for them. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of been true in almost every patch we see, right? Every patch is just good for one team. Invariably, the team that wins a major championship or a major LAN is also the patch is lined up for their players anyway, So there's always an element of you need the patch to be in your favor a bit. I want to ask as well, have you guys started scrimming yet, or what does the sort of start of the preseason look for you guys?
nah, I mean, we will start. I think on the 21st, like the day after we arrive there. We like plan to start. So right now we're just like playing ranked. I think I've just been playing like 30 games a day or something past days. So yeah, just like I guess like get grinding, get back in shape, feel comfortable like playing multiple heroes, all that stuff. So yeah, just kind of chilling. Some team bonding though, like talking on Discord and stuff. So we don't just like meet and it's just like
meet some strangers when you go out to
never even heard their voice, And I mean, I've met FiXa before, like in Korea. I went to the mid-season madness and he was on Seoul Infernal. So yeah, it's not too much of a stranger. So
And then one thing that certainly seems to be true in EMEA is because not as well as the partner teams, there's also been a lot of non-partnered investment as well. Meaning EMEA probably looks as stacked as it ever has, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where do you feel Virtus Pro fit into this in terms of power rankings, or what are your sort of expectations for stage one?
I don't know. To me, it's like TU, TM, and us should go top 3. Genji is a bit of a question mark. They can surprise. Like I wouldn't like underestimate them. But to me, there's no like clear top 1 team. Honestly, I think TU, TM, and us, like you can put us in any order. It's like a bit meta dependent maybe, but also day dependent. Whoever wakes up and has a good day, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah, to me, there's like no clear. I would hope that us in a team house, we can have some extra team bonding, some extra team power, better team play because of that. But yeah, we'll see. But I mean, I think I'm like pretty confident, like I think we've probably made like some upgrades, I would say, and I think like some of the other teams kind of look pretty similar. So yeah, just like judging from like last year as well, that should be possible for sure.
There's been an element a little bit, I think, because there's more top teams, the talent's been spread a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
Like imports are counterbalancing that a bit, so maybe like the overall standard is still higher, but it's evened everything out, whereas maybe last year you'd look at SSG and it just maybe feels like they were the team that just had the best roster in most situations or something. And it becomes like now it feels a little bit more it's anyone's game.
I feel like ENCE was the best roster last year.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, I do feel like, but I don't know. It was
maybe at the start it was different because it was like maybe Ghost and Massive feel weak, and then like at the end when they had like Sky and stuff.
Yeah, but then like obviously like TM was also like just Kellex and KSA on TM, so obviously like really good as well. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like overall, I mean, I'm also like a bit biased because we never beat ENCE, but we beat SSG like many times. So yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, but it's also, dude, it was just, I mean, it was just ground tanks, like. Like it just, if they randomly like buff Zarya, what the fuck does SSG do? Like, this is Mauga, and Rhine, and I don't know, nothing else really. What was it, Orisa?
Yeah, we would want to. Yeah, in I know.
Yeah,
there are certain like I think you're right in terms of every team has like they're covered in some areas, but there is that weakness. So if they get a patch that makes hit scan hard, or a patch that makes ground tanks hard, or a patch that make there's all these sort of things that can maybe put them in trickier positions than they'd want to be.
But I feel like that's just like what happened last year. It's like, okay, this stage, this team is the best. Then this team, it's like kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a dogfight, I think, for sure. But that's also interesting.
I think it's good for the scene as well, right? In terms of, you always talk about the Korean teams are always the best, but part of it is they always get to scrim against other elite teams. Like the same experience those of us who played now had. You got to like, it's easy to improve every week when we're just playing against the Atlanta Reign and the Shock and the Dallas Fuel. Like, if we're not learning something, we're doing really badly, So hopefully there's like all the teams can help level each other up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, maybe it's like a longer process type of thing happening in EU. Everyone is gonna slightly get better, but there's no super team, so we might still just be fucked internationally.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, now we'll just optimistic look at the future.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask you is, of course, do you have a message as we go into the start of the season for the Virtus Pro fans, what they should expect from you and the team?
I mean, I think VP, like the org, is obviously like it's huge in Eastern Europe, and I think they're investing, a lot, and they wanna like shine a good spotlight and a lot of attention on Overwatch. So yeah, I hope we can pop off. I hope we can do well. So we can maybe get some more fans as well, but also satisfy our current fans. So yeah, I think I would appreciate, you know, like all the support we can get for sure. And I think we can do a good job, make people proud.
All right. Get some skin sales as well, maybe. Get some.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, that as well. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, actually, that's another bonus, you know.
It'll be nice because it
And
means when you guys play your matches, you get the VP skins on, the VP items and everything. It will be suited and booted.
yeah, also just another incentive, you know, to like be an extra nice guy, like social, like you know, on media, you know, everything just like PMA and like to boost the skin sales. Yeah,
All right. Thank you very much, Shockwave. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you and the team for the season. I'm sure we'll all be tuning in when it kicks off.
yeah. Cheers. Thank you.